A system log started predicting errors before they happened. I was on call, the only green dot in Slack's #on-call channel at 1:56 a.m. My laptop fans were soft and steady, VS Code split between a typed script handler and a Terraform variable file. In another monitor, AWS CloudWatch logs flickered new lines from our invoice worker. The line that stopped me was stamped 2.14.6, which hadn't happened yet for me. DynamoDB provision throughput exceeded exception and the partition key we use for monthly closes. It wasn't an old log surfaced by filter, either it sat above interest from 1:55 with the exact millisecond formatting we use in our logger. I copied it to Slack and tagged the SRE who wrote the throttling policy. No reply. I posted it again in #incidents and started a thread titled "Why is this 18 minutes in the future?" When I went back to VS Code, Copilot's grey suggestion faded and under a comment I just typed, "Don't let it batch. Just for tonight." That was the kind of thing you say to a coworker on Zoom at 2 a.m, not something you write in code. I hit escape to dismiss it. I opened our feature flag file and toggled invoice close v2 false. GitHub Actions would pick it up on redeploy. As I typed the commit message, VS Code suggested hotfix bypass queue for closes temporary. That was creepily close to what I was thinking. I accepted. Pipeline triggered. In the Actions console, a new run appeared. I clicked through to the logs. Before the installed dependencies step even started, there was a stray line in grey, migration lock will fail at 2:14.6. I scrolled up and down to see if it belonged to a previous run. It didn't. When the steps finally printed for real, that line disappeared, replaced by the usual downloading actions/checkout at v3. In Slack, next to #incidents, the type in dot showed under DeployBot deactivated and integration we turned off when we moved to actions. It blinked for a full 5 seconds, then vanished. I clicked the channel's details. DeployBot was listed as deactivated in November. The last message was from months ago. At 2:14, my watch buzzed before PagerDuty had time to escalate. CloudWatch alarms went red. The exact error from the 2:14.6 line poured in, partition key and all. DynamoDB was throttling as his closes spiked. Whatever I pushed hadn't applied in time. I rolled back the flag and added a quick bypass. If queue length 500, process one by one. It felt like putting a band-aid on a burst pipe. Copilot threw another suggestion under my cursor as I wrote, rename the flag to close gate safer. The teammate who used to nag me about naming had a habit of lowercase, no punctuation. He'd left for another team in May. It unnerved me enough to do what the suggestion implied without actually accepting it. I renamed the flag to close gate and changed the code to look for the new name. I didn't trust the old one anymore. I pushed again. The air slowed and then stopped, like somebody quietly turning off a faucet far away. By 2:22, the dashboard was green. I sat back and listened to the fans. In #incidents, a few people were awake now, asking what happened. I typed up a summary, leaving out the future log part. When I went to paste the original CloudWatch line, I couldn't find it anymore. Scrolling back up in the log group, the 2:14.6 entry was gone. The surrounding logs were still there. I checked the filter pattern, then the time range. The gap was filled by other lines that hadn't been there 10 minutes earlier. I told myself it was a time zone setting. I checked CloudWatch's time zone, it was UTC. I checked my laptop local. That could explain the minute mark, but not the content. I saved everything and closed VS Code. When I hit Win+V out of habit to paste the incident tag again, the clipboard history showed an entry I didn't remember copying, migration lock will fail at 2:14.6. It had a tiny copied at 1:54 a.m. under it. I hadn't copied anything at 1:54. The next morning, after 4 hours of sleep, I went looking for something rational. I opened the GitHub Actions logs again, expecting to find the stray line as a cache artifact. The run looked clean. I downloaded the raw log. No mention of the phrase. I checked our Slack audit logs, no events for DeployBot after deactivation. I dug into my VS Code extensions folder. Copilot keeps a local log file. It was mostly opaque, but I did find blocks of text labeled completions. One of them was the exact phrase from the night before, "Don't let it batch. Just for tonight." A few seconds later, another one, "PLS don't drop table." I froze at the PLS. That lowercase PLS felt human in a way the rest didn't. I searched our Slack history for PLS don't drop table. There it was, in a DM between me and that teammate from March. He'd been warning me about a migration when I was impatient. I had no idea how a coded assistant would surface a phrase from Slack, let alone a private thread. I convinced myself I was just making patterns out of noise. AI models cross over, maybe the string appeared in some training data. Maybe Copilot is just weird in the way weather is weird. That night, my phone was on the kitchen counter and my laptop was on the couch, screen on, Slack open. At 2:14 again, the soft Slack brush sounded. It wasn't a notification, just the sound of a new message in an active window. I looked up. In hash incidents, at the bottom where you type, a draft text had appeared in grey. It's me. Not posted, just sitting in the input as if my cursor had typed and then paused. I hadn't touched the keyboard. When I clicked into the box, the words vanished. I looked for the little draft saved indicator Slack shows on other devices. Nothing. I checked the desktop app logs with Ctrl+Shift+Alt+U. I scrolled through 100 lines of RPC calls, but there was nothing human to read in there. I pinged myself in a DM and typed to test. My own message came in, plain and normal, like nothing had happened. For a few days after, I ignored it. I wrote the postmortem in a readme in the repo, committed it with postmortem, added incident timeline. A coworker left a comment in GitHub that said I should add the bit about CloudWatch's UTC. I did. I kept it all clean and cause-oriented. But at night, around that time, if I open VS Code to jot a note, the first suggestion that fades in at the top of the empty file is the same 3 words in grey, lowercase like you used to write, I am still here. The suggestion pulses, waiting for tab. I hate escape. It comes back a moment later, in a different file, a different editor, under a different comment. I haven't accepted it. And I don't know what happens if I do.